What's up, y'all? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am Kelly Matthews, and today we're going to go over my 5 favorite hip mobility drills. So most of these will be body weight and just drills that you could pretty easily do from home. I think it's really important to understand that, mobility drills are not a cure-all, and they're definitely not going to fix all of your ailments, but doing a little extra mobility work can be really helpful in opening up some range of motion and just like cleaning up some movement patterns. But the best thing you can do for yourself is to strength train in full range of motion. So doing exercises under load are going to be the number one thing that I would recommend. These are great supplementary things to kind of just keep things moving. So we're going to start in the 90-90 position, and I'm going to show you a couple things from here, but we're going to count it as one. So 90-90 just means that we're going to be at a 90-degree angle with both knees, and they're both going to be pointing in the same direction to start. Okay, so even just seated in this position might be tricky for you if you have a hard time with your hips. So even just like hanging out here and kind of settling into this position could be helpful for you and could be kind of a big start. From here, if you're ready to progress, the first thing we're going to do is kind of like flipping over to the opposite stance. And we're going to do that by opening up this back hip. So we're going to go from internal rotation to external rotation with this hip. And what you can do is you could just do that in place and just opening up that leg as much as you can. Or what you can do is open it up as far as you can. And when you can't go any further, then you're going to flip over to the other side. And then you would just flip back. You can also do it with the assistance of your hands behind you if it's difficult to do with your hands up. So that's the first thing in the 90-90 position. The second thing is you're going to bring this shin in just a little bit closer to you. And then from there, we're going to shift weight into that shin. And you should really feel that kind of load your posterior hip on that front side. So you would feel it in like your, in this case, left butt cheek. So I'm just going to shift weight into here and kind of fold forward. And for me, when I do this, I can feel after like a few breaths here that it starts to like release a little bit and just not hold as much tension in that position. And then you would just switch your stance, shift weight. This is harder on the side for me. In that similar vein, we're going to work one more that is focused on like your posterior hip capsule. So we're going to go onto all fours to start. And I'm going to send my left foot straight back, tuck my toes. And then I'm going to take my right shin, which is the side that I'm working on, and I'm going to just windshield wiper it in. Okay, so I'm going to take this shin and just kind of pop it so that my right heel is just outside my left leg. And then from there, I'm going to come down to my forearms without sitting back into a pigeon pose. So that's not what we want to do. We want to keep our hips stacked. So your left hip is going to be stacked over your right hip is going to be stacked over your right knee. Then you're going to take your left hip and sit it in toward your midline. So I'm just going to shift both of my hips over to my right. And as soon as I do that, you're going to feel right in that upper outer glute area, releasing that hip capsule. And you can also do some like hip openers from there. So where you're going from opening that left hip up and then sitting back into that stretch. Switch. Number 3 is going to be more of like a lunge focused movement. So typically it's like a world's greatest, where we work on some like T-spine rotation in that runner's lunge position. So similar to the 90-90, we're going to kind of count this as one, but we're going to move through a couple different things you can do from this position that I really like. So to get into position, you're just going to step 1 foot up, and then this back leg should really be in as much hip extension as you can get into to start. I like to just start with both hands on the inside and think about kind of like pushing my hips forward into that position. You can also come down as low to the ground as you want and just kind of relax into that stretch. And then if we're gonna make it a little bit more active, you can tuck this toe, lift that knee, and sit into the stretch that way. And then we can add a little rotation. So you're working on this hip flexor a little bit, and then you're also gonna get some opening through like the inner thigh of your left leg. And to expand on that, you can roll onto the outside of your left foot and give this a little bit of a push. You get a little more length in the adductor, and then you're also gonna get some external rotation in that left hip. This one honestly just feels really nice. So it's one of my favorite ones to do, especially as like a cool down. Next one is gonna be a squat hang. You're gonna want something to hold on to. You could either do it with something up overhead, or you could do it with something out in front of you. I'm gonna do, this is set at the right height for me, so I'm gonna do this. And you're basically gonna use this to help you like pull down into a low squat position. And this is a great place to start. You can kind of just like play around with this, pulling yourself down deeper into a squat position. If you're somebody that struggles to get into a deep squat, just this would probably be helpful for you. I don't struggle to get into a deep squat, so I got short little legs. So for me, I'll go into this, kind of hang out, and then we do a little hip shift, which can be a little bit tricky to get the hang of at first. But once you get a handle on what it should feel like and where things should be moving in space, it's actually pretty simple. So what I'm going to be doing is working with alternating femurs, essentially, where I'm thinking about pushing this femur forward and at the same time pulling the opposite one back. So you're going to see my right knee migrate in front of my left knee, and then we're going to switch. But I'm going to stay in this kind of rounded position where I'm thinking about tucking my tail, getting a little posterior tilt through my pelvis. And I'm going to push that knee forward, pull the other one back, and then shift. And it might be a small movement to start, and then you might get a little bit more range. And this is something you can do from a few different positions, but it feels really nice. And if you have, I have a lot of, historically, I don't have many problems anymore, but anterior hip pain from many, many years of playing soccer. So this has been really helpful for me. A lot of these things are things that my coach he's taught to me over the last 3 years that we've been training, 2 years we've been training, that have really helped my hips be just a lot less cranky. Number 5 is going to be a cossack squat, which is essentially a lateral lunge in place. You're going to start in a wide stance, and this is a movement that you can load or not load. You could also do it assisted or unassisted, but I felt like it was important to have some kind of lateral movement in here to get some length in the adductor, and then just some space in the hip. And it might not look like this for you. It might look deeper than this for you. It kind of depends on your anatomy and your mobility, but what you want to do is sit down as low as you can in this lateral lunge position. And then we're going to stay pretty low, and we're just going to shift over to the other side. I like to come up on that heel. That feels nice to me. I feel a nice big stretch along the inside of here. And then I also sometimes will play around with just like moving around in here, rotating. But every time I shift, I'm trying to just get a little bit lower, sync my hamstring and my calf should be very friendly with one another once I get in the habit of doing these pretty regularly. And you could load these with a dumbbell. I've seen people do it with like chains or like a weighted vest or something so that you don't have to like really be doing anything with your hands. And the load actually can help you get a little bit deeper into this range. All right, that is 5 out of 5 of some of my favorite hip mobility exercises. Thank you guys for joining me. If you like this content, please subscribe. And you can also follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Kelly L. Matthews. I'll see y'all next time.